It's time now to see what the papers say.
Milton, which category would you like?
Let's have politics.
OK, politics it is. Your category is politics. The answer is over a million. What is the question?
Is it how many extra minutes Manchester United get to play if they're not winning?
Look at my big shiny face. Look at it. Look at it. Look at the way my forehead glow follows you around the room.
What you have to remember is that Cameron was in PR. I mean, I was 12 years old when I had a paper round. Apparently, the rumour is that David Cameron wants to make all towns in Britain triple-barrelled, like Kingston upon Thames, Berwick-on-Tweed. He wants to call it Leeds-on-Benefit. Well, his eyes are shinier and his hair's sleeker, but it's not necessarily an airbrush. It could be he's eating pedigree chum.
I mean, his coat is more glossy. Yeah. Essential minerals, they're good. So you should see him running through a field and over a wall. It's incredible, man. He's youthful and dynamic.
From the makers of Cocker One. Cocker Two. What did his friends call Nostradamus? Now, our next guest, believe it or not, is both a poo and a lice inspector. Sorry, police inspector. Troy, certificate 15. If you're too young, why don't you make a giant wooden adult?
But we've all been drunk at work, haven't we? I remember when I worked on an oil rig in the Mexican Gulf.
Or unlikely things to hear in a science programme.
1643. The cold air balloon is invented. But it doesn't really take off.
Milton, let's see what subject. Let's spin the wheel. The subject is family.
One of my earliest memories is seeing my mother's face through the oven window. As we played hide and seek, and she said, "You're getting warmer." My auntie Jean got a sister called Jean. Her daughter Jean just had a baby, called it Jean. They all went to a nightclub to celebrate. They got to the door and the bouncer said, "Sorry." You're all wearing trainers. My grandfather, Jean, always complaining about how much things cost.
£1.50 for a cup of tea, £2.25 for 3 custard creams.
I said, "Look, Grandad, you just popped round. I didn't invite you." My other grandfather, he was always going on about how in the old days people could leave their back doors open, which is probably why his submarine sank. My other grandfather, when he died, we didn't even get the chance to say goodbye, which was all the more poignant because he drowned in a bowl of Cheerios. I used to own a Toyota years ago, and I remember once I was driving along eating a marshmallow, and all of a sudden my airbag deployed. And in that moment, I thought I'd become really, really small.
Carlsberg don't do liver transplants. But if they did...
You can tell that Beckham thinks something is wrong, because if you look at the picture, he's going,
Aye.
There's an A coming out of his mouth.
Aye.
This game involves Milton, Andy and Diane, so if you could make your way to the performance area, please. Without kicking the shit out of the set.
Oh, there you go.
Fuck off the face.
Well, that's a minute of the DVD sorted out.
Hey, that moment seemed a bit too hot for TV, yeah.
So, talk me through it again, Mrs. Hopkins. You were having Sunday dinner. You said to your husband, will you carve? And he just lay down on the floor and gave birth to a baby cow. A word about registers. Most of the staff are on one. Is it the gap between this word... No, it's not. Doing that. Dear Deirdre, I am a control freak. What should I do? I'll tell you what I should do.
Yes, the answer I was looking for was Fox scandal rocks Conservatives. This is the news that Defence Secretary Liam Fox has been forced to explain his conduct following allegations that his working relationship with best friend and former flatmate Adam Werrity broke the ministerial code.
Wouldn't it be great if all of this had come to light because someone would be going through Fox's bins? All he's done is take a friend to work, and that's not actually a crime, is it, Mr. Truffles? What's that? Do you want to say hello to the boys and girls? No, I'm depressed.
Do you know why...
I met my wife on the net. We were both rubbish trapeze artists. Terrible, isn't it, when someone doesn't want to live with you anymore? Part of you is thinking, I don't think you're going to survive in the real world. Another part of you is thinking, well, at least I'll be rid of your drunken arguing. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to let the Scottish people go. Any Scottish people here? You can go. A girl came up to me the other day, started going, foot loose, then her foot fell off. I tried to impress a girl once by putting my foot down on the pedal. Turns out she'd seen a bin open like that before. A girl came up to me once, she said, you know, I can tell someone's personality by what kind of car they drive. I said, I haven't got one. So lads, do you ever get given a job to do and you deliberately do it really, really badly so you never get given that job again? I mean, I hardly know CPR anyway. My wife's giving me the silent treatment at the moment, lying there day after day, beginning to smell a bit now. What Cameron should do is get a great big black hat and the sleep mask he got on the plane, and he stand up in front of the G20 and said, I will lead you out of economic austerity, for I am... borrow. When I found out my bank were fixing the loan rate, I went down there every single day and shouted at them, but then I consolidated all my anger into one monthly outburst.
Things you wouldn't hear on a political discussion show.
Sorry, did I interrupt you? Is it if you saw Pythagoras in concert, name one of the old numbers he might try and do? Is it...
Transport is the topic.
So I've got my own private jet. The rest of the jacuzzi belongs to my mum. If you've got a sat-nav, don't put the name of the company you're visiting into it. I tried to take some mayonnaise back the other day. I ended up in Helmand Province. I mean, I've got a car, but there's nothing I like better than making a bonfire on the passenger seat. Driving up and down, opening and shutting the electric sunroof and pretending to be a steam train. My uncle, he was a taxi driver, but then one day he left home without any indication. So recently, I was fell walking in the Lake District. Well, it's not quite true. Recently, I fell walking in the Lake District. I was going to tell someone, but the pillar box was full of sugar puffs. The worst job I ever had was forensic pathologist for the United Nations. And I remember uncovering the mass grave of 1,000 snowmen. Fortunately, it turned out to be a field full of carrots.
What's great about it? But it's like Milton, every so often, it's like this hilarious grandad that just wakes up.
Health officials have shut down the village fete. Apparently, there was an outbreak of tombola. Now it's over to our toys and games correspondent, Natasha Kaplunksky.
In other news, what has Prince Charles said is the largest challenge facing the world today?
Is it narrow doorways and you get your ears caught? Look, an ancient African city from the makers of Timbuk 1. How about giving 3-year-olds the vote and still having one ballot box but 4 different shapes that they have to put in? It looks like a runner bean, only smaller. From the makers of Mange 1. What I didn't understand about the Scottish election thing was, if the Scottish didn't want to be part of Great Britain, where were they going to live? I think people quite like Nigel Farage, because he's a bit of a colourful character, which is ironic.
And the topic is family.
My uncle, he was a cruel man. He knew we lived in a bungalow, yet every year for Christmas we always got a slinky. It's a miracle my sister's getting married. I went to the printers to get the invites done. He said, well, what typeface? I went... She seems to like him. My grandfather, during the war, he broke the Enigma code machine. Then he went AWOL. Well, it's not quite true. Then he became an owl. My grandmother, she's been talking about downsizing, and now she's in a little urn. My other grandmother, she was a children's writer. You may have seen her book, Jack Goes Strawberry. I haven't always been popular with my family as a vegan. That doesn't normally work. Recently, my family all clubbed together and got me a voucher for a clinic in Switzerland. Thank you. It's not nice, though, to have another culture imposed on you at school. I remember when I was rushed to hospital with 80% Chinese burns. Welsh are getting stroppy, actually. I was in Cardiff in Waterstones recently. I asked for Pride and Prejudice, and the bloke said, I'm proud to be Welsh and I hate the English.